Everybody, we're about to get started with our senior level 1 showmanship. This evening, before we get going, we would like to take a moment, reflect on everything that we have to be grateful for. We are grateful for an opportunity to show this evening in this incredible weather that we've got. I want to thank all the volunteers who came out to help make this possible. We'll be introducing you to some of those a little bit later on. Grateful for our judge being here. Grateful to Mr. Matt Horseman, our county director, who will be announcing for us tonight. And a sincere thank you to all of our exhibitors who continued to work and do their job, taking care of their animals so that they were ready to show this evening. With that, I'm going to hand the microphone over to Mr. Ransom Johns, who is going to lead us in the pledge. Ransom?
Please remove your caps as you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Johns, and welcome to the 2020 Williamson County 4-H Beef Heifer Show. We're going to go ahead and get everything started off with our Senior Level 1 Showmanship. Senior Level 1 Showmanship is going to get us out the gate, and once we proceed on to Senior Level 1, we'll go to Junior High, Junior, and Explorers. We'll take a short break after that, very short, and then we'll move right on to our Beef Heifer Show. So we look forward to taking off this 2020 Williamson County Beef Heifer Show. Entering the ring, our Senior Level 1 Showman. Senior Level 1 is represented by Miss Morgan Riley, Miss Alana Myers, and Miss Presley Nolan. as our judge takes his time working through senior level 1 showmanship, we'll remind everybody that this show is not just taking place inside the show ring. This show is taking place worldwide. And as such, we have a bunch of viewers here for the first time joining us that may not know what we're doing inside the show ring right now. So we'll take this opportunity to do a little explaining. Right now we're in senior level 1 showmanship, and showmanship is all about the individual, all about the 4-H'er. And this is a tag team partnership with the 4-H'er and their heifers for this aspect of the show. And as you know, each 4-H'er is armed with a stick, and that is there to help appease the animal, to keep them calm and sedated so that they'll help cooperate as they work along together. As our judge is speaking to each one of these individuals, he's asking about different questions about each one of their calves to see what they're feeding them, some of their genetic lines, and to get a better feel for each showman and what they know about their stock. And at this time, so as each showman prepares to analyze the judge, he's going to start moving around in place, and that showman has then got to be able to set their calf or get their calf in the right position so they look the best possible way. As he'll start to ask him to move around, he wants to not only watch that calf, but more importantly, he wants to watch the showman to see how they're reacting to him as he's moving about, how well they set up their calf, how well their calf stretches out and moves. And as we sit and evaluate, he's going to come through at the very end, and he's going to pick one he thinks really defines the top showman of the day. Oftentimes, it's pretty close when you get to this level. You have a lot of high-level showmen that have been doing this for many, many years, and they each have one defining quality that really sets them apart. So as our judge takes on this difficult task of defining which one of these young ladies is the top showman for the 2020 Senior Level 1 Showmanship for the Beef Heifers. As we go throughout the night here, we'll take the opportunity to introduce our judge and let him give us a little bio rundown of where his history's from, what makes him qualified to be one of the top judges in the area, and we'll all start to identify and talk about some of the volunteers that help make this show. And as this show is a little bit different this year, we're missing a few of our close friends and family that normally would be here doing this show, doing what I'm doing right now. They're sitting at home listening to us. So we'll try to identify some of those and send some thoughts out to them, wishing us that they'll be back here in 2021 at the Williamson County Fair again.
Well, I want to welcome everybody again, as Matt did, to this junior heifer show here in Williamson County. I know these are unprecedented times, no doubt. It's kind of strange to be here in the situation that we're in and looking out and seeing everybody wearing masks. I kind of put my mask on and felt like I was going into surgery. But I was going in to evaluate cattle and kids. So this is a different time for all of us. So I'm glad everybody was able to come out and have the opportunity to be here. I know there's several that would probably be here with under different circumstances, and hopefully we'll make it through this. And next year, this show will be back to somewhat of a normal show. As Matt said, I was just going to introduce myself. I failed to write a bio. I guess I probably get an F in that. Tennessee, grew up around cattle and horses, was in the 4-H program, judged livestock, did not show when I was a 4-H student back in Hardin County, but went on to the University of Tennessee at Martin and had a gentleman by the name of Kyle Roseboom that came there as a professor and a livestock judging coach. And he challenged several of us to participate in that on the livestock judging team, and it was one of the best decisions that I ever made. I learned a lot, got to travel across the country, compete against larger ag schools than what the University of Tennessee Martin was, such as Texas A&M, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, and because of his drive and his ability, we were able to be very competitive with those. So that's where my judging background comes from. After that, I was a 4-H agent for 6 years, and I was in Dyer County. So I got to work with youth. I got to coach 4-H and FFA students in livestock judging. So that was a real blessing to me to have that opportunity. And now I currently work for the Farm Service Agency, which is a branch of the United States Department of Agriculture. And that's how I got to Columbia, Tennessee, where I'm at now. We administer a lot of the Farm Bill programs. We administer conservation programs, price support programs, disaster programs, all geared towards the support of the agriculture industry. Currently, I was talking to Matt, currently a program we're administering is the Coronavirus Food Assistance Program. And it pays out money to livestock producers as well as other agricultural producers, but since we're at a livestock show, it pays out money to livestock producers who have suffered at least a 5% loss, specifically cattle producers who have suffered a 5% loss due to the market downfall because of the coronavirus. So we're here to provide support for the entire agriculture industry. And this is just one program that we administer among several others. So anyway, that's a little bit about me. I currently live in Culleoka, Tennessee. We have a commercial cow herd, my wife and I, Callie. Just sold our house, so we're looking to move. So I'm glad to be here looking at cattle rather than looking at a new place to live. So congratulations to these exhibitors that have all showed up today, and I'll get started judging the show. As we start off with senior level showmanship, I'm glad you started off with this division because I think it gives an opportunity for the junior high division to see what they're supposed to be doing when they come out here. I know sometimes it's an individual's first time to show when they get to the junior show or when they get here to this show. So they get to see what the seniors are doing in showmanship. And showmanship, it's not about the animal for the most part. It's about the exhibitor and how they react with the animal and how much preparation they put in to that animal prior to getting here. And I would say these few that we have here have definitely prepared prior to coming to this show. You can tell these heifers are not acting up for the most part. Yeah, they get tired of standing in one spot, but so do we. So they're gonna need to be moved around. So that's gonna happen. But these cattle are broke, so to say. They've come in here, they're halter broke. They're not jerking the kids around, and they're able to actually show them. So that's the first big step that you've made to complete your goal. The second is knowing how to respond when you come in the ring. The judge is going to ask you to do several different things. He's going to ask you to walk around in a circle. They're going to ask you to line up. They're going to ask you to be head to tail. They're going to ask you to line up side by side. They're going to ask you to move into positions and not tell you exactly where to go. So you've got to be savvy enough to know where you need to go when they point. And the one thing I tell a lot of kids is when you come into the show ring, always try to keep your eye on the judge, okay? Because they're going to be talking to you, they're going to be telling you where to go. And if you get into a big show at Louisville, Kentucky, and they tell you, they point at you when all the cattle look alike and all the cattle are really good and exceptional cattle, and they point at you to come first, and maybe it was a tough decision between first and second, and you weren't paying attention, where do you think they're going to put you? You're probably not going to win. They're just going to go into that next one because, hey, you weren't paying attention. It was a tough decision for them anyway, so there you go. All right, so it's important to pay attention to the judge. Showmanship does not just end right here. It goes all throughout the show. So please pay attention to the judge. Secondly, when you're showing, there's a reason you're walking around the way you are. I didn't ask you to walk around here on the left side of your animal and have you blocking a view. I want to see the animal. So when you're walking around this circle, the animal is always kept in between you and the judge. That's whether you're showing hogs, sheep, or cattle, or goats, or whatever, because you're trying to show that heifer to the best of its ability. And you're trying to make sure that the judge is seeing that animal. So, that said, I think all of you did a really good job doing all those things. So then it gets a little bit tougher. You know, we're talking about setting these animals up side by side. We're setting them up in a profile, getting their feet set right, moving away from the animal, which you all did for the most part, so that's good. But a lot of this comes from what you did prior to getting here, the preparation, the work, setting up a ring at home, walking these cattle around every day. So you're learning a lot by participating in 4-H and FFA and Livestock Expoing. So congratulations to all three of you exhibitors. I think you did a really good job. My showmanship winner in the senior division is going to be this young lady right here in the pink stripe. I think she did an exceptional job. I think she was fault-free throughout the class. I think she came into the ring and we won't shake today. We'll just pass the shaking off for another time. Or we can elbow bump or bash brothers like Mark McGuire did back in the 90s, if anybody remembers that. Was that the 80s? But anyway, a really nice heifer that she's showing too. A lot of preparation and getting this animal or this heifer ready for the show. But I think she did a really good job setting her up. The heifer worked to her advantage, no doubt, because I think this heifer sets up really nice on the profile, sets up really nice in the line with very little attention. And that helps her out a bunch. But of course, that takes preparation to getting here. So congratulations to that exhibitor. The next exhibitor, young lady here, I think did a really good job. Very knowledgeable when I talked to her about the heifer and what her plans are, what she likes about the heifer, what she likes about her phenotypically, what she would change about her phenotypically. Those types of things are interesting. So, you know, you've got to know what you're feeding. You've got to know what your plans are with these heifers, because they've got to go do a job. They're not on this earth just to come out here and show. They're on this earth to produce offspring. So knowing what your plans are and how to make that animal most productive is going to be very advantageous going forward. Next young lady showing a nice heifer here that's got a lot of muscle over her top. We've talked about the differences in her heifer and what she would like to see her. Again, very knowledgeable, did a really good job there. This heifer maybe give her some problems a little bit at times, maybe wants to shake her head a little bit, but she handled her really well. Again, I've seen heifers give a lot more problems than that. But overall, I think did a really good job. Maybe just a little bit more time in the show ring, and I think that heifer will get a little bit more used to it. Again, it's a long time to stand out here in the ring, so the seniors stood out here quite a bit. Maybe the juniors and junior highs won't have to stand out here, but let's give them a round of applause, and I'll conclude my set of reasons there.
Congratulations to your Senior 1 champion showman, Morgan Riley. And in second, Presley Nolan. And in third, Alana Myers. Once again, thank you, Judge, for your placings and comments for our Senior Level 1 showmanship class and your champion level 1 showman, Morgan Riley. Alrighty, we are now ready for our junior high division. Our junior high division will be represented by 5 young 4-H'ers. Representing the junior high will be Miss Abigail Burney, Miss Jaden Gossett, Miss Ruth Ann Johns, Mr. Kurt Connor, and Mr. Evan DeLillo. This time we also want to make a friendly reminder to our friends and family, if you're going to be around the show ring, we ask that you please wear your face mask. And this time I'd also like to recognize one of our friends that's not here tonight, but that would normally be doing the job and a much better job, being the MC of the Williamson County 4-H Beef Show at the Williamson County Fair, and that's Mr. Larry Dale. Mr. Larry Dale has been for many years the MC and the voice of many of the beef cattle shows for Williamson County Fair and the Williamson County 4-H Show, and we want to send our sentiments out to Mr. Dale, and we hope to see him here again in a few years. To our friends watching at home tonight, and that may be asking, well, why are you starting with the senior level and working your way down versus starting your way at the youngest and working their way up? And as your judge first made some comments, you'll notice he took a little bit extra time to give it some comments and suggestions based on his observations from our senior level 1 participants. It wasn't just to give the compliments and the suggestions to the senior level 1 participants. It was for future suggestions for the rest of our participants, so they would be able to see what the judge would be looking for that night. So if you are a showman in the junior high or junior, you'd have the opportunity to observe senior level 1 and know what the judge would be looking for tonight. And as you'll notice along the ring, you'll probably see a younger 4-H'er or 2 standing along the ring, observing, trying to get any helpful hints they can for their class. And so that's why it's always so important to have such great senior level 1 showmen and senior level 2 showmen, so they can show the younger generations how it's done. as our judge continues to evaluate our junior high level showmen, we want to take this time to recognize the people to make these events happen, to make these shows happen on an annual basis, that we couldn't just do it without them. That's just plain and simple. When it comes to just the same old face that we see time and time again, and the reason that we see a lot of them and they make these things happen, Mary Ann Blankenship, who really becomes our show manager, our ringmaster, our lineup, our crew check-in, whatever job needs to be done, she's always here for us year after year, time after time, no matter the role, no matter the opportunity. And we can't thank her enough, and her entire family. And we'll talk a little bit about the Blankenships a little bit later for the support that they bring to the Williamson County 4-H, but we can't thank our ringmaster and our show manager for all the time and the effort that she gives each and every one of these individuals in this show ring and year after year. So thank you to Mary Ann for doing all that she does to make sure this happens. So let's give her a round of applause as we wait.
Another good class of showmanship, and I think these students do pay attention to the senior division as they're out here. I can also, I know they kind of know the questions I'm going to ask already sometimes, so I know they're like, sometimes they probably ask the senior division what questions I ask, so they know already what the answers are, but that's preparation, that's part of it. And a lot of us judges probably ask some of the similar things because we get just in the habit of asking some of the similar questions. But for the most part, I think we've got a good group of showmen out here. We've got some definitely kids that have given some preparation prior to getting out here. And cattle aren't always going to be the same. They're not always going to act the way they did when you were preparing them at home. Sometimes they're just going to give you problems. But one of the first things this young lady told me about her heifer is that she's really, what'd you say, sassy? She's got an attitude. And I think everybody would agree that this heifer has an attitude. So she knew coming in that she was going to have to put up a fight. But how much does that heifer outweigh her by? Quite a bit. and she has handled her extremely well the whole time. And this heifer, when she gets her set up, she sets her up right, and if she doesn't get set up right, she comes her around and brings her back in there. But she's doing a really good job handling that. She's not getting stressed out. She's staying relaxed. She's staying calm. So I think that's something you've got to do as well. You've got to be able to adapt to the situations and be prepared as well for those changes. And this heifer has an attitude, and she knows it. So she did a really good job, and she's going to be your showmanship winner in this class. Congratulations to her. Now, not always you're going to come in here and have a heifer do that and be able to win. So you can if you're able to handle that heifer in the right way, and I think she did a really good job doing that. Next, the young man, I think he kind of had a fault-free class. When he comes out here in showmanship, I don't think he had any real issues with his heifer. His heifer came in here, she's really docile, she's really calm, so she was really easy for him to set up and set up correctly. What I would probably say, just be a little bit more cognizant of where the judge is, and when you set up, be sure you stay out of the way of the heifer. But for the most part, I think he did a really good job with this, and this man plans on using this heifer to start off his herd back home and on his farm. So I commend him for doing that and getting started at a young age. Next young lady, the young lady here, I think did a really good job with her heifer. Again, she was kind of fault-free. This heifer did really good setting up and staying there and setting up in the right position. I can't really, fault her too much. I think she did a really good job. Maybe on the profile, do a little bit and getting her feet set and getting her back so that she showed to the best of her ability on that profile. But for the most part, I think you did a really good job, and keep on competing, and I think you'll end up there in the first place. The next heifer, the chocolate heifer, again, a really good job. I think this heifer started giving her a little bit of problems as well, but she handled it. She handled it well. Again, a good job. Again, this was a tough class. I think everybody did really good as far as, having a good showmanship. I think it's just a little bit more time in the ring is going to make everybody better. The next young man, again, a good job. We talked about the heifer, what he would change, and I appreciate his knowledge of the phenotype of this heifer and what he would like to change for her, and I think he did a really good job describing her to me. So again, congratulations to all these exhibitors. Look forward to seeing these cattle back in the show.
Congratulations to your champion junior high showman, show lady actually today, Miss Jaden Gossett. In second place, Kurt Connor. In third, Ruth Ann Johns. In fourth, Abigail Burney. And in fifth, Evan DeLillo. So thank you again, Judge, for your placings and comments for our junior high showmanship and your junior high champion showman, Miss Jaden Gossett. All right, now entering the ring will be your future showman of the, in a few years, they'll be your champion senior level soon, but not yet. Right now, we're gonna have entering the ring our junior showman. Our junior showman will be represented by ages 5 and 6 and 5th and 6th grade. We're looking for 5 showmen, or 4 showmen. We're looking for Miss Rosemary Johns, Miss Shelby Timms, Mr. Ransom Johns, and Miss Haley Pointer. And as our audience at home will notice, we've got a few different colors of calves out here today. That's because the showman, once again, it's all about the showman for this class. And so once again, the best thing you can do is find the best animal you have out there as far as cooperating, because remember, this is a team effort and you need your half to do just as good as their half. So right now, we've got a variety of different heifers, and they went through and picked out their calmest one, the one that would cooperate the best, the one that would move and stride out and set up just like I have them, and then stand there as they work their show sticks. And as our judge will start to walk along and start to talk to each one of them, we'll see where he places this class shortly. But in the meantime, I also want to recognize a few more of our helpers that make this show happen. You can't put on a show without a team of people. And it starts from the outside and works its way in. So from the outside, you've got to have a team of people lining up each one of these competitors so that we can keep a show moving and flowing as fast as possible. And we want to thank Miss Gina Nichols for helping us keep that group moving in order. And at this time, we also want to recognize a face that we don't have here tonight, but one that's usually here on a nightly and a yearly basis, and that's Mr. Jeff Gossett. We send our thanks to him at home and hope he's watching, but we want to thank those that are here, and Miss Gina Nichols, we thank you for keeping our show flowing and moving. Inside the ring, we want to thank the gentleman that whenever something happens or whenever we get a little giddy up or a little hiccup in one of our calves, we always have somebody there to help us out. And so we have two Williamson County 4-H'ers dedicating their time tonight, and we can't thank them enough. So I want to reckon at the very end, and they all earn something at the very end, and they'll all earn a ribbon or a bucket or a brush. And to keep that moving in an order, because that's when it's a really important organization, we have somebody else that helps keeps the award prize and table clean and moving, and that's Miss Leah Kennedy. We want to thank her. Miss Leah Kennedy is a 4-H'er and a state representative for Williamson County 4-H in the state of Tennessee, and so we're so glad to have her services here tonight, and thank each and every one of you for dedicating your time and giving back to your project. as our showmen begin to take a stroll around the ring, we want to talk about another partner that helps make this event possible on an annual basis at the Williamson County Fair, and that's our neighborhood friend, Tractor Supply Company. They have stores all across the country, but they are proud to call Williamson County, Tennessee, the corporate headquarters and home, and we're proud to have them in this county. They are a proud sponsor of the Williamson County Fair and all the agriculture and livestock events at the Williamson County Fair. And once again, even though it may be a little bit different this year, they're standing strong for the agriculture community in the Williamson County Fair, and we are so happy to have them. We can't thank Tractor Supply Company enough for their support of the Williamson County Fair and all the livestock events associated.
You know, most of the time I say at some point during showmanship, this is the most difficult part of the night of actually coming to judge. Judging the cattle is easy. I'll make decisions all day long on which heifer, which steer, which bull is better than the other one or any other species. But when it comes to judging the kids, it's really challenging because I'm really fond of all of you and proud of all of you for coming out here and doing what you do, because it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of determination and a lot of drive. So again, congratulations to you guys and gals for being out here and showing. You're doing a really good job of being out here. Something I noticed in this class that maybe I haven't noticed as much in the other ones, but you know, when you come into a ring, you're gonna have different sizes of rings. You're going to have small rings, you're going to have large rings, you're going to have medium-sized rings, and you're going to have different judges. But one thing that you've got to do, well, another thing is you're going to have a different number of head of cattle in each class. Here we'd only have 4, but we could have 10 in this class, and this ring gets really small when you've got 10 head of cattle in here. So you've got to be sure that you provide enough space between you and the person in front of you. And I noticed in this class, we kind of got a little jammed up, okay? So be sure that you use all the ring. And when you're over here and you're asked to make this turn right here, don't head over to that corner right there if you're in the lead. Head to this corner and make a big circle. Use every bit of the ring that you can before you stop over here. And you know, we've got an edge of the sawdust right here, and I may be pointing and telling you to go somewhere, and if I am, that may be a time when you need to ignore me and just use a little bit more space. But if you're second in line, you need to not be sure, or be sure that you don't get too close to that animal in front of you. Leave yourself enough space that if you need to come out and make a re-entry, you've got enough room to do that. You've also got enough room to stand back from your heifer and get away from that animal so that the judge can see that animal and really visualize that heifer and get a good shot of her. So be sure you use all the ring. And it gets difficult sometimes at these county shows because we may not have that much space, but the luxury you have today is we only have 4 of you, so you've got enough room to utilize a lot of this space that we have in here. But those are just some things to remember as you go forward. Again, you're doing a really good job. The young lady I'm going to start with the Shorthorn Plus heifer, a heifer that I think is really nice heifer that she's showing, but also a heifer that sets up really nice for her, and I think she does a really good job showing this heifer, getting her set up, and you can come on out and walk around if you want to. But this heifer kind of sets up nice on her own. She does a really good job for her, which tells me she's been prepared for her. This heifer does get a little stoppy, I guess, when she's walking around the ring. Sometimes she doesn't want to go quite as well. And something, as exhibitors, that if you're behind a heifer that stops like that, you can help that exhibitor in front of you out just a little bit. Give that heifer maybe a little tap just to keep her moving along and keep the show going. And that's all right. That's part of showmanship too, is the camaraderie you develop within the people you're competing against. So again, this young lady she really had a fault-free showmanship class, really did a good job showing, and I think made her way to the top. The next young lady really enjoyed the conversation that we had about her heifer and the differences in her heifer and what she would do to change her heifer to make her better. And you can come on out if you want to as well. And I think we both said the same things, about her. We'd like to see her deeper bodied, deeper in her rear flank. So she recognized that, and we had a conversation about it. But she also did a really good job showing that animal and setting her up, staying away from the heifer so that I could get a good shot of her, but also showing the best of that heifer and showing where her good attributes are. And sometimes being able to show the good attributes is knowing what the bad attributes are. So that's part of showmanship, and that's part of livestock evaluation. So congratulations to you. Young man, again, showing another Shorthorn we have out here. Again, really knowledgeable. We talked about how this heifer is bred, the bull that they used to AI this heifer, and why they chose the bull that they did, and had a conversation about that. So again, a really good job. Next young lady, a heifer that maybe is sassy a little bit, as we'd say, and giving her a little bit of trouble, but she's handling this heifer, and I think doing a good job handling this female. Sometimes these heifers don't come out here and do and perform exactly like you want them to, but we can't give up. We got to keep going back, and we got to keep working with them to make them better. So let's give all those exhibitors a round of applause. Congratulations to everybody.
Congratulations to your junior level champion showman, Rosemary Johns. In second place, Haley Pointer. In third, Ransom Johns. In fourth, Shelby Timms. Congratulations again to your champion junior level showman, Rosemary Johns. And to our audience, that will conclude the first portion of our Williamson County Beef Heifer Show, and that will conclude the showmanship portion of our class. At this point, we will take a 5-minute break and then resume our show with the second half with our Beef Heifer class. We'll begin with the Angus portion of our show. The Angus portion of our show, so if you are a showman with a beef animal that's an Angus, please be making your way to the lineup area. We'll begin our show in 5 minutes at 7:30 on the dot. participants. It's that time. We're ready for the second half of the show. It's that time for the Beef Heifer Show, and we're going to get right out of the gates with our Angus portion. We're going to put our judge to the test. We're not going to let up one bit. We're going to make him keep those judging skills real sharp. Each and every class is going to be tough to evaluate. We're going to see if he can handle it. We'll see where he stands by the end of the night. We'll see if he's still standing. All right, with our first class of the evening, we're going to begin with our winter heifers. And our winter heifers are being exhibited by Miss Shelby Timms. A winter heifer will have a date of birth of 11/1/2019. This animal was born about a little less than a year ago. So we'll get them out of the gate with our winter heifers, and we'll proceed right on down the line with our little bit older animals as we go. And so once again, we'll turn it over to our judge for his placings and comments.
As Matt was saying, we do have a single entry in this division, but that's not to take anything away from this heifer or the young lady that's showing her. We really have a nice heifer here. As you watch her, she moves out and feels feels her stride off both ends of her skeleton. She really takes a good, lengthy, graceful stride off both ends as she moves around the ring. Something we're looking for in these heifers, even at this young of age, we're looking for soundness of structure. To make sure that these heifers are sound structured, we look at that back foot and where it feels the tracks of the front foot. So we want them to feel those tracks. If you see a heifer moving around this ring that is short strided and that back foot is not feeling the tracks of the front, that's a short strided heifer. So that means she's tight moving and tight structured. So if I'm moving around here like this right here, I'm probably a little bit, poor structured because I'm either got something wrong with me or something's going on. So we like to see these heifers feel their tracks. So this heifer does a really good job with that. She's long bodied and extended, and we'll see her back in the championship round here in a little bit.
Congratulations to your blue ribbon winner from your winter heifer division, Shelby Timms. All righty, we're going to move on to class 2. Miss Shelby Timms will once again be representing with our fall heifers. A fall heifer was born in October of 2019. And as our judge made a few comments, he'll recognize that we are going to take a little bit of a turn from our previous event where we were analyzing each one of our animals, each one of our showmen. Well, at this time, we're going to look at each one of the ladies. And as no
While another single entry, if we look at the heifer that we had before and compare the two, I think there's just a month or so difference in their age, maybe. So if we look at them and we start comparing the two, these two heifers are close in age, but they're different in the way they're made. The heifer that we had previously, she took a really long stride off both ends of her skeleton. We were talking about her feeling her tracks. She was kind of long and extended through her head and neck. This heifer here, as we look at her, not that she's short-bodied, but she's deeper-bodied. This heifer has really got some spring to her rib, and when we talk about spring to her rib, we talk about right here in her rib cage and how she comes out and how she's got spring and expansion to her rib and how deep in her flank she is. So spring of rib, depth of flank, those are two different things, but they're things that we want to see in a female. We want to see that volume. And also, as you get around behind this heifer, you see some thickness to her quarter, back there from her hooks to her pins, which would be in her hip area. And as we study her, we want to see that maintain levelness as she moves around the ring, and that's another indicator of soundness. So this heifer, I think, compared to the other one that we had in the class, is a thicker made heifer. She's got more muscle to her. She's got a little bit more depth of rib and spring and expansion to her rib. So really nice heifer here in a single entry, and we'll see her back in the championship round.
Thank you, Judge, for your placings and comments from our Angus Fall Heifer class. And your blue ribbon winner goes to Miss Shelby Tim. Soon will be our summer yearlings. Summer yearlings will have 2 entries, both represented by Abigail Burney. We're looking for 2 entries, an August-born calf and a July-born calf. And as you know, we've been talking a little bit about it, but no offense to the
All right, a really good class, a couple of heifers here that we have. The heifer I'm going to begin with is a young lady here in the maroon shirt. A heifer that I think when compared to the other heifer is deeper bodied. She's got more spring and expansion to her rib. She's not wanting to show exactly right for this young lady, but when she gets set up, you can see she's square over her top and out from her hooks to her pins. And is sound in her structure. When she moves out, she's really sound off both ends of her skeleton. But I like her depth of rib and her width of base, the width that she has through her chest. The second place heifer will be the young lady in the plaid. Again, this heifer complements the heifer in first, I think, as she's long and extended through her head and neck. She's really extended, got some angulation to her shoulder and sharpness of features there that we really like.
This time we want to recognize a few more of our behind-the-scenes people that make these shows happen. And that's the people that you see that come in through the dark of night to turn over your ring, to clean up your arena, to get it all set up, to put your nameplates out there, to make sure you have all the room you need. And we want to thank a few participants. I think a few of them are here. We want to thank Miss Mary Hope Robertson, who's also in a dual role as our photographer for the night. And we want to thank Miss Wendy Lamb for all their efforts of continuing to help behind the scenes and making sure that each and every show is experience for each one of our 4-H'ers is the highest of quality. So thank you for all their efforts.
Another really good single entry female that we have coming out in this class. As you can see, the heifer's getting broader. This heifer's getting more mature as we go from the younger age females to the older females. This heifer's a really nice heifer. If you look at her and you study her from her fore rib back to her rear flank, she really deepens as she goes back. She's got some spring of rib and she's got some shape. And when we talk about shape, we're talking about muscling. And if we talk about producing beef, what is the beef that we eat? That's muscle, okay? So we want to see some shape of muscling. We want to see some thickness over her top and out through her quarter and in the loin area, because she's going to pass that on to her progeny, okay? Now, do we want to see her bulky and big and stout? Probably not, because she's a female. She's a lady, as Matt was indicating, so we want to see femininity to her. We want to see attractiveness to her. We want to see maternal characteristics. And this heifer has those things as well. But we're going to get a lot of that muscling as we choose the bull that we're going to breed her to. So again, a nice heifer in that single entry, and we look forward to seeing her back in the championship round.
Thank you, Judge, for your placings and comments from our spring yearling class. And congratulations to your blue ribbon winner, Miss Morgan Riley. Alrighty, now entering the ring will be our lone representative from the junior yearling division, and she'll be held and showed and exhibited by Miss Morgan Riley. This young lady is a January born calf.
Another really nice heifer that we've got out here, this January female, is extremely nice. As you study her from her front end all the way back, as you study her, she's got a lot of muscle thickness over her top, carries it out through her hip. She really opens up wide from her hooks to her pins. But she's also really attractive through her front end and really nice on the profile. Now, is profile going to do anything when it comes to the breeding program and going out and being a productive cow in the pasture? Probably not. She doesn't have to be pretty, so to say. But this heifer is very pretty. She's very attractive. She's very feminine through her front end and really smooth fronted and sets up really nice. So this heifer is going to do well at a lot of shows for this young lady, and I look forward to seeing her in the championship round as well.
Thank you, Judge, for your placings and comments from our junior yearling division. And taking home the blue, Morgan Riley. All righty, here's our last entry from the Angus division. We're looking for our senior yearling. We have one entry. She'll be exhibited by Miss Shelby Timms. All right, we'd also like to give a call for all of our first place winners, our blue ribbon winners from our Angus division, to please make your way to the lineup area. We'll have our championship drive for our Angus breed shortly thereafter, class number 6, senior yearlings.
As we look at another nice single entry here in the senior yearling division, a heifer that you really appreciate for depth of rib. This heifer really has a cowy appearance to her, and as she's maturing, as she's getting older in the senior yearling division, we're going to ask a whole lot more out of her. This heifer should be bred, and she should be due to calf soon because of her age. We like to see cattle have their first calf by 2 years of age, and in order to do that, you have to think about your feed program to make sure that they're mature enough at the right time to be bred, and also the right time and mature enough to have that calf at 2 years of age. So this heifer should have a calf inside her. She should be not only feeding for herself, but feeding for two, herself and another one. So at this point, you know, she's doing a really good job. She's maintaining her body condition. She's really got a nice level top to her. She's really got some depth of rib, and she's really got some muscling and some sharp cowliness features about her. So congratulations to this young lady, and we'll look forward to seeing her in the next championship round.
Thank you, Judge, for your placings and comments from our senior yearling division. And taking home the blue, Shelby Timms. All righty, that's going to wrap up the classes for our Angus division. So we're ready to bring in all those blue ribbon winners right back into the ring, and let's evaluate them and see if we can pick our grand champion Angus. During this time, I'd also like to recognize another grand champion, and that's the grand champion that's making this possible. That's Williamson County Television. Creed Henderson and his team have put together an excellent production. We have tested them and putting them in an environment that they're probably not used to, but they have hit a home run, and we can't thank them enough for bringing this live event all across the country to all of our friends and families that could not make it here tonight. So thank you to Creed and his excellent team of cameramen and audio and everybody else is part of that video team in the Williamson County Television of making it possible. We truly appreciate it, and I know all of our friends and families do, as they get to sit and look with the judge as we make this very tough decision on who our grand champion Angus is going to be. As we go back through and try to recognize each one of our division winners, representing our winner heifers, Miss Shelby Timms. Representing our fall heifers, Miss Shelby Timms. Representing our summer yearling, Miss Abigail Burney. Representing our spring yearlings, Miss Morgan Riley. Representing our junior yearling, Miss Morgan Riley. And representing our senior yearlings, Miss Shelby Timms.
Let's give all these exhibitors a round of applause for making it back to the championship round. While we had a lot of single entries, I want you to know if I were to have a competitive class and be placing 5 or 6 in each one of those classes and choosing these to come back to the championship round, I think we still might have the same lineup that we have out here right now. So all of these are really good heifers, and I see a lot of common traits amongst all of them, starting with the younger cattle all the way up to the senior yearling. You know, we're still looking for the same things. Most important, we're looking for structural soundness. We're looking to see that these heifers are sound structured, they're able-bodied, they're able to go out and produce a calf. Because as we said before, this isn't the end of the game for them. These heifers start young, they are grown, they are shown, and then they go back to be productive in the cow herd. We look at these cow to become cows and to have calves every year. If they miss a calf one year, that hurts the pocketbook, that hurts the bottom line. They're not productive. And the sad thing is, in those cases, farmers, livestock producers have to make a tough decision to cull those animals because they're not being productive. So there are tough decisions that have to be made in livestock production, and that's definitely one of them, because these cattle all look like they're going to be productive, but not all of them will make it. But we're looking for longevity. That soundness of structure is going to help them be in the herd a long time. And also we're looking for maternal characteristics. We're looking for that spring of rib, that volume that we see in the rib cage to know that they're going to be maternal. We're looking at their udder shape at this point, their udder development, to see how that is, to know that they're going to be able to handle the calf. There's a lot of things we're looking at. We're looking at also the femininity, because they're going to pass that on, and that's part of being a female. We don't want to see a female out here that looks like a bull, okay? We want them to be feminine. We want them to have those characteristics of a female. So these heifers really match the type that I'm looking for, regardless of whether they were a single entry. So again, congratulations to all these exhibitors. Now that said, we have to choose a grand and reserve champion. And in my mind, I think there's a heifer out here that fits that bill of what I'm looking for. There's a heifer that she's really long-bodied, she's really long and extended through her head and neck. She's really got a lot of spring and expansion to her ribs. She's really got a lot of maternal characteristics to her. She's got some muscle and shape to her, but she's not overly muscled. She's not bold shouldered or anything like that. And when she sets up on the profile, she's really nicely balanced and nice profiling. And that's this heifer right here. So congratulations, this young lady. She's going to be exhibiting your grand champion heifer. And gets from the junior yearling division.
Congratulations to your grand champion with her junior yearling, Miss Morgan Riley.
And again, as we look at her and we study the other heifers, we're looking for a heifer that matches her type and kind. And since it was a single entry, then normally if it was had more entries in there, we had a second place, we would ask the second place entry to come out here to stand in line, and that animal or that heifer would have an opportunity to compete with the rest of them. But since it was a single entry, we're not going to do that. So we're going to look at these heifers to determine which one's going to be the reserve champion. And again, there's another heifer in here that I really like and I think was in the running for the grand champion. I think this heifer's got a lot of thickness to her. I think as she matures on out, she's going to get even better, and that's this heifer right here. Again, this heifer is really nicely balanced. She's really sound in her structure, but what I like most about her is the width. She really opens up wide from her hooks to pins. She's really got a lot of spring and expansion to her rib. Just a nice heifer, I think, to be in there in the reserve champion. So congratulations to both those exhibitors, and congratulations to all of you. I've enjoyed judging the Angus division. So let's give them a round of applause.
Congratulations to your grand champion from your Angus division, Morgan Riley, and your reserve grand champion with the spring yearling, Miss Morgan Riley. Thank you to all of our exhibitors and all of our calves from the Angus division, but your grand champion from your junior yearling, Morgan Riley. All right, at this time, we're all going to change our coats, and we're going to turn over to a little bit of the red coats, and we're going to bring in our Herefords. Our Herefords are going to be represented by the red and the white. We have 2 entries in our Hereford with 2 classes. So we'll open it up with our spring yearlings represented by Miss Morgan Riley. As she makes her way, this is an April-born calf. As our judge evaluates the first Hereford from the class, to our audience at home, you'll notice that there's few things different about this class than from the previous one, and it all doesn't just start with the color of the hide. When we look at different animals, we're looking not necessarily what's going on the outside, but what each one of them brings to us from the inside, because once again, that's what it's all about. What kind of genetics will these animals bring to our herd? Whether it's a calving or it's all about meat quality, each one's going to bring a little bit different opportunities for us. So as we come through and as you observe different colors and different hides of animals, it's all about what each breed brings to the beef industry. So each one of them brings us a few special traits that we're happy to have. So we'll turn it over to our judge, and he makes his comments from class 1 with our spring yearlings.
Yep, as Matt says, we've got different colors, we've got different breeds, and they are adapted for different situations and bred for different situations. And you talk to some people and you talk to a person who breeds Hereford and over somebody who breeds Angus, obviously they're going to talk to you about the positivities of their breed over the other ones. But when it comes to an evaluation standpoint, I don't care if it's an Angus, I don't care if it's a Shorthorn, I don't care if it's a Hereford, I don't care if it's a Simmental or a Chianina or whatever you bring out here. I'm looking for the same things in each breed. I'm looking for that soundness of structure in those heifers. I'm looking for those maternal characteristics. I'm looking for depth of rib, spring of rib, looking for shape of muscling, and things that this heifer is going to have quality-wise that is going to give her longevity in the cow herd. Because each one of these, as I said before, they're going to have to go out and they're going to have to produce a calf. Not every other year, not every 2-3 years. It's going to be every year that they have to do that. And they have to do that in the heat of Tennessee. They have to do that in the cold of Tennessee. And you know how the weather is around here. It changes quite a bit. So these cattle have to adapt to different situations. So that's what we're looking for. And this Hereford female that we look at.
Yearling Herefords. And your blue ribbon winner goes to Miss Morgan Riley. Alrighty, we're ready for that second class. We'll be representing the junior yearlings with Mr. Kurt Connor. At the conclusion of this class, we'll bring back in our spring yearling and we'll set them up for the championship drive for our Hereford division. So, Mr. Kurt Connor bringing in his junior yearling, born in January.
Another nice single entry Hereford heifer we have out here. Heifer that you appreciate for her length of body. A heifer that's got some shape of muscling over top. If we could change her, maybe we would deepen her up in her rear flank and give her more spring and expansion to her rib. But a heifer that you appreciate for her angle to her shoulder, her flatness of shoulder, and that cowiness. As Matt's saying, and you can go ahead and walk out, just to add, you know, these Herefords, they're going to have similar markings, but they're all not going to have the same markings. So this heifer right here, if you look at her front legs, she's really red all the way down to her feet and down almost to her toes. So she's very conservatively marked in her red. She's got a lot of red to her. Also, you'll see some that have a dot on their back or have a feather. They're long feathered or short feathered, the white mark going down their top. So these are identification identification terminology that a judge can use, or if you were competing in a livestock judging contest, you could pick up on that, okay? So just some things to add to it.
All right, Judge, thank you for your placings and comments from our junior yearling division. And your blue ribbon winner goes to Mr. Kurt Connor. All right, we're gonna bring both our spring and our junior yearlings back into the ring so we can pick our grand champion and our reserve grand champion of the Hereford division. I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize one of the biggest supporters of the Hereford division, and that's Mr. War, if you want to look at it this way, Governor Bill Lee and Triple L Ranch as supporters of the Hereford family. They have been one of the biggest supporters of the Hereford group in this entire area for the last decade, times 5. So we want to thank them for all the support that they've brought to the Hereford class, and we'll ask our judge to make a pick and 2 animals representing the Hereford division quite well.
All right, these heifers ain't really wanting to move around very much, so we'll go ahead and get straight to the point. We've got 2 heifers out here, so we've got to choose 2 heifers. So again, this makes my job a little bit easier sometimes when we don't have as much, but I still like to evaluate the livestock and let you know what I'm looking for. Again, we talked about each one of these individually, but we'll talk about them a little bit comparatively. The heifer that we have here, the young lady showing, a heifer that when compared to the other one, I think is a deeper bodied, bolder sprung type of heifer. If you look at her, she's deeper in her rear flank. She's got more spring to her rib. Okay, so if we're comparing these in a judging class in her shoulder, I think she's really sound structured as she moves around the ring and takes a lengthy stride off both ends of her skeleton. But she just is a little bit shallower ribbed, a little bit flatter in her muscle when compared to the other one. So we've got comparative traits here and conflicting traits. Not to take anything away from either one of them, but we've got to make a decision. So the young lady, she's going to be the grand champion heifer, and then the young man's going to be the reserve champion heifer. So congratulations to both the exhibitors. You've done a really good job. Let's give them a round of applause.
Congratulations to your grand champion spring yearling, Morgan Riley, and your reserve grand champion, represented by the junior yearling, Mr. Kurt Connor. Thank you to all of our exhibitors with Hereford animals and your grand champion, Miss Morgan Riley, and your reserve grand champion, Mr. Kurt Connor. All right, we'll once again do a costume change, and we're going to switch over to the Shorthorn animals. We're looking for all of our Shorthorn heifers to make their way to the lineup area. We have 2 classes representing the lone entry in Class 1, our fall heifer, Miss Rosemary Johns. Miss Rosemary has a October-born heifer.
Again, another nice heifer here coming out. This is a single entry here in the Shorthorn division getting us started. You'll see some different colors, no doubt, as Matt was saying, when we get into the Shorthorn division. This heifer, really appreciate the way she sets up, the way she's made structurally. She's really structurally correct and made. She's got enough set to her rear hock and pasture, and I think that makes her have that soundness. And she's also got some muscle shape over her top and out through her hip. As she grows on out, we'll see her mature and get more depth of rib and more spring of rib. But I think she's got definitely got the bones underneath her and the structure to carry that later on. We look forward to seeing her growing up, and I know the young lady does as well.
All right, thank you, Judge, for placing the comments from our fall heifers. And the blue ribbon winner, Rosemary Johns. All right, at this time, we're going to have our senior yearlings into the ring, and we're going to put our judge to the test. This is where we see what he's made of. We've got 3 entries in our senior yearlings. We're looking for Miss Haley Pointer, Mr. Ransom Johns, and Miss Haley Pointer.
wide from her hooks to her pins. If I could change her, I would make her or strengthen her up there in her loin right there. Just make her a little bit stouter right there. She tends to drop just a little bit there. The next heifer, I think, is probably the soundest structured heifer that we have in the class. As you watch her move around, she definitely takes a more graceful stride off both ends of her skeleton than I think either two of the heifers. She just comes up a little bit flatter in her makeup, maybe not quite as stout and bold sprung as the heifer that wins the class, but a heifer that you appreciate for her soundness of structure. The next heifer coming out, I think, is a heifer that's got some stoutness. She's got some rib shape. She's got some muscling, no doubt. But as she moves, she tends to drop her tail head and maybe a little bit steeper from her hooks to her pins than I would like to see her, which also leads to maybe her being a little bit straighter in her shoulder. But you got to appreciate the heifer that's got some muscle. I think she's definitely got more shape of muscling over her top and out through her quarter than the heifer that places in second. So a really close class here with the heifers that we have, and some conflicting comparative traits about each one of them.
All right, thank you, Judge, for your placings and comments from our senior yearling class. Taking home the blue, Ransom John. In second place, Haley Pointer. And in third, Haley Pointer. All righty, we're ready to bring in those blue ribbon winners from our Shorthorn classes. Representing the fall heifers, Miss Rosemary Johns. Representing the senior yearling, Mr. Ransom Johns. This is where all sibling rivalries are settled, right in the show ring. Here we go for the Johns family Shorthorns.
Well, congratulations to both these exhibitors and for making it back to the championship round. It's a difficult decision when you get here because you've definitely got a big age gap here in between these two heifers, and they both were champions in their own age division. So again, congratulations to both of you for making it out here. The heifer that I'm going to choose as your grand champion, I'll go ahead and say, is the heifer the young man's showing. I think a heifer that's got more spring to her rib, she's got more depth to her rib, and she's got more muscle shape at this state of her life. She's also a heifer that you appreciate for the foot size and the bone that she brings to the ring. If I could change her, yeah, I think I would still strengthen her up, particularly right there over her back and in her loin area right there to make her stronger in her top line. But a heifer that brings a lot of thickness and muscle. The heifer that's going to be your reserve champion, the white heifer that you appreciate for that structure. She's really got a strong top line on her now. She's substantially level over her top line and from her hooks to her pins, and sets up square and is a really nicely balanced heifer on the profile. So this heifer is one we look forward to seeing how she's going to mature and how she's going to grow. And later on, you know, as she grows and matures, I think she's still going to find her way to the top of the class. So congratulations to both these exhibitors. We'll have your grand champion with the young man that's showing, a reserve champion with the young lady.
Congratulations to your grand champion Shorthorn, Mr. Ransom Johns and his senior yearling. And your reserve grand champion with a fall heifer, Miss Rosemary Johns. Congratulations to both exhibitors and your grand champion Shorthorn, Mr. Ransom Johns. All right, just a reminder to our audience viewing from home, we're going to bring back all of our grand champions at the very end of the night because we got one more award to do. We're going to call it the Supreme Champion. But before we get to that, let's move on to our next breed. We're going to call these the Shorthorn Plus, the Shorthorn influenced animals. We've got two representatives tonight in our first class. We have a winter heifer exhibited by Miss Ruth Ann Johns. And we'll also at the same time, we're gonna bring in class number 2. Let's bring in that senior yearling representing the second class, senior yearling with Miss Rosemary John. Once again, this is where you settle all those sibling rivalries. You settle them right here in the middle of the show ring.
As both these heifers are single entries, we have the younger heifer in the class. She was a single entry, and then the senior yearling, she was a single entry. So we went ahead and brought her out here as well to kind of speed up the event just a little bit. But as you study the younger heifer, a heifer that you've got to appreciate for her balance, her profile, and her structural correctness. If you look at her, she really sets up nice on the profile. Young lady's doing a good job showing her, but she's really level over her top line and maintains that levelness from her hooks to her pins. Yeah, she's got some growing to do. She's got some groceries to eat. And at one day, you hope that she's going to fill out and be as bold sprung and as thick as the senior yearling. And as we study the senior yearling, we look at a more mature heifer that hopefully is bred and hopefully is getting ready to calf sooner than later. And you look at her and she really, Shorthorn Plus, again, going to be the reserve. And I think two well-deserved Grand and Reserve champions heifers in this class, so congratulations to both of them.
Congratulations to your Grand Champion Shorthorn Plus with our senior yearling, Miss Rosemary Johns. And your Reserve Grand Champion with our winner heifer, Miss Ruth Ann Johns. Congratulations to both of our exhibitors for our Shorthorn Plus and your Grand Champion with the senior yearling, Miss Rosemary Johns. Alrighty, we're gonna wrap up our registered portion of our show with one more breed. We're looking for our Sim Solutions. Our Sim Solutions are our Simmental influenced animals. We've got 4 classes for you. With our first class right out of the gate, we've got a fall heifer representing by Presley Nolan. At this time, I'd also like to think about one of the teammates that I don't have here with me tonight, and that's Mr. Jasper Pinkerton. Mr. Jasper Pinkerton has been with this family, the Beef family, for many, many years, and he couldn't make it here tonight, and we want to recognize him for all the support that he gives us time and time again. So thank you, Mr. Jasper. We're looking out for you.
A nice single entry heifer here in the Sim Solution, as he said, which is a percent Simmental. Heifer that you appreciate for her expression of muscling. A lot of times in the Simmental breed, we see a little bit more muscle shape and expression throughout their hip over their top line. They're a little bit more higher cutability type of animal.
Yearling lone entry represented by Miss Apple Bernie.
And another nice heifer here, I think that's a little different, obviously a different color. That's more of a chocolate looking heifer, but she still is a Sim Solution, which is percentage Simmental. As you study her, she's got a lot of spring of rib to her. She's got a lot of boldness there through her rib cage, and got a lot of muscle dimension as you study her through her rear end. Heifer that I think is going to pass that muscle on and to her progeny, and I think this heifer as she goes out is the kind of heifer you want to see develop into one of your brood cows, maybe in a commercial operation. I could really see her picking up in that commercial operation. So a nice female. We appreciate the young lady bringing her out here tonight. This heifer, again, a single entry, is showing a lot of characteristics of the Simmental breed, no doubt, as you look at her. What we see in the modern Simmental breed. She's got some expression of muscling. She's really got some expression over her top and out through her hips. She's got some thickness to her. And really a nicely balanced heifer. She sets up nice on the profile. I think she fights her head just a little bit and maybe looks like she's a little bit tighter structure, but I think if she moves on out, she's going to move out sound enough definitely to win this class today. But a nice job showing that heifer. Good job to that young lady.
Thank you, Judge, for placings and comments from our junior yearling class. And taking home the blue, Miss Jaden Gossett. Alrighty, we're looking for our last two entries from the Sim Solutions. This is class number 4, bringing in our senior yearlings.
We'll start the class with the young lady's heifer. I think a heifer that you appreciate for her performance, her length of body that she brings to the ring. She's really a long-bodied heifer that's extended about her head and in her neck. And then as you study her, she's got some muscle shape over her top and opens up really wide for her hooks to her pins. If I could change her, I would deepen her up in that rear flank area. I think make her deeper right there. And make her a little bit bolder, but I think a nice heifer that's got a lot of structure to her that we appreciate. The heifer coming out in second, I think complements her in that way. I think she's got some depth of rib. She just comes a little bit more in a moderate package, which there's nothing wrong with. Maybe not quite as long bodied, but I think two heifers that are really competitive in this class and could probably go either way in the future.
Thank you, Judge, for your placings and comments from our senior yearling class. Taking home the blue, Alana Myers. And in second place, Alana Myers. Alrighty, let's bring all 4 of our class winners back into the ring for our championship drive for our Sim Solutions. Alrighty, as we get ready to enter the ring, representing the fall heifers, Miss Presley Nolan. Representing our summer yearlings, Miss Abigail Burney. Representing our junior yearlings, Miss Jaden Gossett. And representing our senior yearlings, Miss Alana Myers. At the conclusion of our Sim Solutions, that will conclude the registered portion of our show. And at that point, we're going to shift gears, but we're not going to let off the gas, and we're going to shift right on into the commercial division. So if you've got a commercial heifer, please be making your way to the lineup area.
Again, a really nice lineup here in the Simmental Solutions division. I think we've got some quality heifers out here that are very competitive and have some commonalities. They have some soundness of structure, they have some stoutness to them, and some spring of rib and some maternal characteristics. So we appreciate the exhibitors bringing them out here and letting us evaluate them today. Again, a really nice class. Let's give all these exhibitors a round of applause, and I'll go out and I'll choose your grand champion and reserve.
Congratulations to your grand champion from your Sim Solutions, Miss Presley Nolan with her fall heifer.
As we look at our grand champion, to me, she fit what I was looking for as far as type and kind, as far as her structural makeup. She really takes a graceful stride off both ends of her skeleton as she moves around the ring, and I think that puts her to the top for me as her soundness of structure. And as she matures on out, I think she's going to get a little bit more thickness to her and spring a rib. The next heifer that I think follows me and it suits me well, I think a little different type and kind, a stouter made type of heifer, a heifer that's got a lot of boldness of rib and got a lot of muscle shape to her, is this young lady in the middle's heifer. She's going to be my reserve champion. Heifer that I think has some stoutness to her. She's got a lot of muscle shape to her, a lot of spring and expansion to her rib, and I think that's why she falls into that reserve champion place for me, so she can go ahead and move out. Again, a really nice class of Simmental Solution heifers. All of you did a good job. Let's give them one more round of applause.
Congratulations to your reserve grand champion with her junior yearling, Miss Jaden Gossett. Congratulations to all of our Sim Solution exhibitors and your grand champion with her fall heifer, Miss Presley Nolan. Alrighty, we're gonna see all of our grand champion from our registered breed divisions back here shortly, but in the meantime, let's go ahead and get ready for our commercial division. So we're gonna have all of our commercial heifers. We've got 2 classes of commercial heifers gonna be making their way into the arena. We're gonna name a grand champion from the commercial side, and then we're gonna bring them all back in the ring, and we're gonna make that judge make that difficult decision of making the Supreme Champion selection for Williamson County from the 2020 Williamson County 4-H Beef Heifer Show. And as our exhibitors make that transition, as they start to switch over the animals, we'll talk a little bit about what we've got coming in the ring. So we just finished up what we call the purebred portion of our show. Each one of those was a purebred animal representing their species. At this point, we're getting ready to bring in what we call the commercial side, and these are where we really start to get into the hybrid vigor, where we might start to cross some of these breeds. One of the important breeds that you see all throughout the state of Tennessee and all throughout Williamson County is what we call those black baldies, and that began with those first 2 divisions. That's bringing our Angus and our Herefords right together, and we start calling some of those commercial breeds. And so all throughout Williamson County and all throughout the state, we have commercial herds representing the beef industry. And so we take the best of both breeds, put them together, and we have those commercial animals. And so we have some of the finest quality commercial animals in the state right here. And we look forward to seeing some of these right here, and then some of these a little bit later in the field. All right, as we have our first 2 animals in the ring, representing class number 1 of our commercial division, with a 674-pound heifer, Miss Abigail Burney. With a 788-pound heifer, Mr. Evan DeLillo.
She's got more length of body to her, but she's also got more width to her. She's got more muscling to her. You study her over top and out through the hip. When she moves around the ring, she takes a sound structured stride off both ends of her skeleton. The heifer that comes out in second is a really nice profiling heifer, a heifer that you appreciate for her structural balance and her eye appeal. But she just comes up a little bit lighter in her makeup, a little bit flatter in her makeup when compared to the class winner. But I really like this heifer for her profile and her balance, and I think from that standpoint she could really place higher in this class. So congratulations to both exhibitors.
Thank you, Judge, for your placings and comments from Class 1 of our commercial division. In second place, Miss Abigail Burney. And taking home the blue, your blue ribbon winner from Class number 1, Mr. Evan DeLillo. All righty. We're bringing in Class number 2. Class number 2 has 3 entries with weight ranges from 858 pounds to 918 pounds. The entries are Alana Myers, Shelby Timms, and Kurt Connor. So as our judge makes that hard decision from Class number 2, at this time we'd also like to take the time to recognize one of the people that just make this event happen. It's the person that comes in here long before you see him, the person that stays late, long past when you have left, the person that helps put all these things together, put in the countless hours, that may have one child in the ring but has countless kids on the outside that he represents all throughout the year. So we'd like to take the time to thank Mr. Doug Burney, the 4-H agent for Williamson County, for all the time and effort he's put into putting together each one of these shows. So thank you, Mr. Burney, for all the efforts.
You're a challenging class here in the commercial heifers. The heifer that I want to start with is a young lady here showing. I think is the most complete heifer. Yes, she's given her a little bit of a problem, but as you study this heifer, I think she's the most complete, sound structured heifer that we have in the class. She's really nice on the profile. She's really long and extended through her head and neck, and really deep sided. She's really cowy in her appearance as she deepens from her forerib back to her rear flank. I'd like to strengthen her up and give her more substance of bone. I think that could make her even better in this class. But a really nice heifer, I think, that wins the class. The heifer coming out in second, I think, is a heifer that's got some stoutness to her. She's got some more muscle shape to her, but she comes up a little bolder in her shoulder, a little shorter through her head and neck when compared to the class winner, but definitely a heifer you appreciate for her stoutness. The next heifer coming out is the performance heifer of the three. She's definitely the long-bodied, extended heifer that we have in the class, and a heifer that's got some muscling. She just comes up a little bit more tucked up in her rear flank and a little bit straighter in her shoulder, but a heifer that you really appreciate for the performance that she has and that length of body.
Thank you, Judge, for your placings and comments from our Class 2 of our commercial heifers. In third place, Alana Myers. In second, Mr. Kurt Connor. And taking home the blue from class number 2, Miss Shelby Timms. Congratulations to all of our exhibitors in class number 2 and your blue ribbon winner, Miss Shelby Timms. All righty, let's bring black in our blue ribbon winners from class 1 and class 2. Representing class 1, Mr. Evan DeLillo. Representing class 2, Miss Shelby Timms. At this time, I'd also like to make one final recognition, maybe one of the most important recognitions of the evening. At this time, let's recognize all of our exhibitors and their families. This year was one of the more difficult years that we've ever seen. It was easy to say no, but they all said yes. It was easy for agriculture to say no, but they all said yes. These fine young ladies and gentlemen and their families are the future of agriculture. And what's one thing that didn't stop when the hard got going and the tough really started to bog down? It's agriculture. Agriculture never slowed down. Who was needed? Who was essential when things got tough? Agriculture. And so, as these young ladies and young gentlemen stand in this show ring and representing each one of their fine animals, we want to show their appreciation for sticking it out, for continuing on the tradition of the Williamson County Beef Show and the Williamson County Fair. So thank you to each one of the families and their exhibitors for their time and effort this year in making this show possible.
As we come to the championship round of the commercial heifer class, a really good class, I think, or two classes of commercial heifers that we had, and I think it was somewhat challenging because you have a lot of different breeds come into play here in the commercial side. But as I study these cattle, this heifer right here, the young lady showing, even though she's not doing very much cooperating with her, I think is a really nice heifer. As you study her, she's got a lot of spring and expansion to her rib. She's got a lot of soundness of structure to her. She really sets up on the profile, is really nicely balanced. So she fits the show world as well as I think she's going to do well in a commercial standpoint. So congratulations to this young lady. She's going to be your grand champion of the commercial heifer division.
Congratulations to your grand champion commercial heifer exhibited by Miss Shelby Timms. All right, this time we're going to bring back in our Second place.
Hold on, she didn't mean to give you that.
We're going to bring back in our second place finisher in class number 2 for competition for our reserve grand champion class. So we're looking for the second place finisher. We're looking for Mr. Kurt Connor to make their way to the ring for our reserve grand champion. As Mr. Connor makes his way to the lineup area, I want to recognize one of the best color analysts in the game. Well, he also judged a little bit, but thank you to our judge, Mr. Clint Bain, tonight for helping us walk through this beef heifer show. We learned a lot of new terminology. We learned a lot of new game plans, but we really appreciate the time and effort he gave us to help explain each and everything that he was looking at to our new and to our old audiences. So thank you to the best color analyst we have, Mr. Clint Bain.
As we study these heifers, we brought the second place to the grand champion heifer back out here, but we haven't had to do that because we had a lot of single entries, but in most cases we will do that. And I think there's some heifers in the back that can be competitive out here as well in this championship round that maybe just didn't make it out here because we had to select only one from each class. So I'm proud to see the second place heifer come out here, and I'm also proud to let that heifer be a reserve champion. So congratulations to you. Good job. And just to analyze this heifer a little bit more, as we say, this heifer has a lot more thickness, I think, than maybe some of the heifers we've seen. If you study her, she's got a lot of shape of muscling. She really carries a lot of natural thickness over her top and out through her hip. If I could change her, I would lengthen her out through her front end and make her longer bodied. I think that would make her that much better. Which the other heifer that's out here in this class, I think, has the length of body and has some performance to her. She just needs a little bit more time on feed and a little bit more groceries. So congratulations to both of you. You did a good job. Especially congratulations to our reserve champ.
Congratulations to your reserve grand champion commercial heifer, Mr. Kurt Connor. Congratulations to all of our commercial exhibitors and your grand champion, Miss Shelby Timms. And your reserve grand champion, Mr. Kurt Connor. All right, this is the time we've been waiting for all evening. We're gonna bring back in all the grand champions right back into the ring because we're gonna name our supreme champion for the 2020 Williamson County 4-H Beef Show. So at this time, let's bring them all back in and let's start to pick our supreme champion heifer. All right, let's talk a little bit about them as they walk in. Representing our Herefords with a spring yearling, Miss Morgan Riley. Representing the Angus division with a junior yearling, Miss Morgan Riley. Representing our Shorthorns with a senior yearling, Mr. Ransom Johns. Representing the Shorthorn Plus with a senior yearling, Miss Rosemary Johns. Representing the Sim Solutions with a fall heifer, Miss Presley Nolan. And wrapping it up at the very end, we've got our grand champion from our commercial division. We've got Miss Shelby Timms. Once again, we'll make our final placings and comments as our judge analyzes this tightly competitive class of Supreme Champion heifers. So this time we want to thank some of the sponsors that we have. We want to thank our hometown Tractor Supply with their headquarters in Brentwood, Tennessee, and stores throughout the country, but they are huge supporters of the Williamson County Fair and the Williamson County 4-H Beef Heifer Show. So thank you, Tractor Supply, for all your continued support of your local 4-H. We also want to thank the Williamson County TV crew for spending another night with us. We can't thank them enough for bringing this live show to the homes of millions of audiences all throughout this great country that we live in. And so hopefully a few new faces got to experience what we get to experience on an annual basis. So thank you to Creed Henderson and his WCTV team for their outstanding coverage of our event tonight. And thanks once again to our judge, Mr. Clint Bain, for taking the time to visit us in Williamson County, and we appreciate the time and effort he gave. We know it's a tough time, and he's decided to make that time spent with us. And so thank you for all the placings and comments and sortings for our grand show. And finally, once again, thank you to Mr. Bernie, and thank you to all of our friends and families out there for spending the night with us tonight and giving us an outstanding show and giving us something to look at and enjoy when we've lost so many different things throughout the year. It's so great to be gathered once again with friends and family for one thing that we all enjoy, and that's the love of beef cattle in Tennessee. So thank you to all, and we'll turn it over to our judge as he makes those final bits of evaluation.
Hey, thanks, Matt. Thanks for your comments. Thank you all for having me here to judge the show. I don't live very far from here, as I live in Columbia, Tennessee, or Culleoka. Some of you probably heard of Culleoka. So I enjoy getting out and judging these shows. I don't do it as much as I have in the past, just because time doesn't allow it quite as much. But I do like to do it every now and then. I do like to help out. Because agriculture is no doubt a big part of my life, but livestock evaluation and cattle have been a big part of my life as well. So as you study these cattle, something we talked about earlier, when you get to your Supreme Championship round as a judge, you like to look at these cattle regardless of how many entries you had and think, okay, I was successful. I chose the cattle that I was supposed to choose. I look at these cattle, and regardless of the breed, whether it's a Hereford, Angus, Shorthorn, Shorthorn Plus, Simmental percentage, or commercial heifer, we're still looking for the same traits. Each one of these heifers has to still go out and be a productive female, a productive cow in an operation to have a calf year after year. So again, I hope that you can see the similarities that we have out here, the maternal characteristics, the depth of rib, the structural soundness, the movement that they have to make, because they're not walking on flat ground all the time. They're going to walk up the hills and hollers of Tennessee. So they've got to be sound structured, got to be fit, they've got to be in shape to be successful and to stay in that operation. Again, I hope you've enjoyed the show. Congratulations to each and every one of you exhibitors. I truly have enjoyed judging the show. I know under the circumstances it's been challenging for each one of you, but I'm glad that everybody that was recognized tonight, Mr. Bernie, Mr. Horseman, everybody that had a part in this show, the family, the parents, the grandparents, the brothers and the sisters that help out in the background, you're all doing your part so that these kids have an opportunity to show. So give yourself on the pat on the back. Let's give everybody a round of applause, and I'll go out and choose your Supreme Champion.
Congratulations to your Supreme Supreme Champion Morgan Riley and her Angus Heifer. Congratulations, Morgan, for an outstanding job with her Supreme Champion Angus Heifer. That time we'll bring in the Reserve Supreme Champion, or Reserve Grand Champion Angus Heifer, and we'll let our judge make his selection for Reserve Supreme Champion. Congratulations to Miss Morgan Riley with her Reserve Supreme Champion Angus Heifer. Thank you to all of our exhibitors tonight for an outstanding high-quality show, and let's once again congratulate our Supreme Champion Heifer, Miss Morgan Riley. Well, we'd like to say goodnight to all of our friends and family tonight, both here in the ring and there at home. This concludes our 2020 4-H Beef Heifer Show. So thank you to all, and safe travels, and have a good night. To all of our exhibitors, if you will please make sure that before you leave, that you clean up all of your area. Please pick up all trash and try to pick up all or any manure that you may have and pile it up. We do have another show here tomorrow night. We have our small ruminant show, so let's probably try to be as courteous as possible and clean it up for them.